Hello, everybody. KevinJJohnston here. We're going to do an off-schedule time question and answer period because I know that so many of you love it when I read your questions in the chat rooms and I answer your questions. Now, the phone, this here, everybody, that's the telephone because for some reason you can only go live on TikTok on the phone. And the TikTok left-wingers, they're the ones that bring forward the most hate, the most anger, the most vitriol. And we're going to see just how hate-filled the chat room is going to be today in TikTok. So, if you have any questions, everybody, go ahead and throw them in the chat. We're on DLive, Twitch, Facebook, and a couple others. Rumble. Of course, we're on Rumble and naturally on TikTok. So let's go live on TikTok now. Let's get that rocking and rolling here because it's just a matter of time before the hatred rolls in. 3, 2, 1, it says. And hello, TikTok. KevinJJohnston here, letting you know that we're going to answer more of your questions. And the best thing in the world to do, everybody, is that when you are asking questions, forget the profanity, okay? Let's just not do that. And forget the insults because I'm going to be a little bit more stringent now on blocking people. A lot of the left-wing nuts, they'll come into this room and they'll throw insults out there and I'll block them. And then the rest of them all gang up and say, well, look, he's censoring free speech. Well, if I went to your house and just started insulting you, I hate your carpet. I hate the drapes. I hate your couch. Your shoes suck. I cannot believe that you have, blue forks. If I was to do all that, you'd throw me out, wouldn't you? Why? Because that's not freedom of speech. That's being an ignoramus. That's being somebody who is rude and crass and vulgar and disrespectful. So respect is something that I'm big on. Good manners are something that I'm big on. And you guys, you've seen me whenever I've been doing my journalism all over the world. In fact, every single time I get attacked, what do? I am polite. So we're going to ask for people to be polite in the TikTok room. And if they want to be rude and crass and vulgar, boom, done. And they can cry about it all they want. I mean, ultimately, I don't ask them to come. And I don't say that you must stay. You have the right to leave whenever you wish. Hello, Curly May. Thanks for being here. Hey, John. Hey, Richard from Toronto is back in there. Yeah, thanks for seeing you guys. It's good to see everybody. Thank you all for being here. Certainly do appreciate that. If you have any questions, I am watching all the chat rooms right now. That includes DLive and Rumble. Throw your questions in there. First question, why do you hate fat people? All right. This question gets asked of me all the time. And I actually just about 15 minutes ago put a video out where a morbidly obese woman has her child with her in a stroller. The stroller starts to roll down a hill into a 4-lane highway, and she goes to run and grab it and falls over, then stands up and falls over, then can't stand up afterwards. And that's because she's completely out of shape. It's not the fat person. It's not the human being that I hate, but it's the act of gluttony that I can't stand, the act of laziness that I can't stand. People who do the absolute minimum that they need to get the task complete typically do not complete the task properly and typically end up with all kinds of health problems. And there is no shortcut to getting extra fit. And I'm the first one to say that having the washboard stomach, the six-pack and the big muscles and whatnot, that's hard to do. There's a lot of commitment to that. So it's very hard to be completely and totally cut at 9% body fat, but it's extremely easy to not be 50% body fat. It's extremely easy to make alterations to your lifestyle to get out there and to get fit. And no one's saying that you have to be a perfect 10. The hell with that nonsense. Who's got time for that? If you're not going into competitions where you're, like Schwarzenegger was doing and Dorian Yates and all those guys are doing, if that's not your goal, you don't have to be a perfect 10. But you need to be someone who is strong enough to be able to stand up and protect your children. If you're falling over because of your gluttony, your obesity, and so on, it's the gluttony and the obesity that I can't stand. It's not that I hate fat people. It's just that I hate people that are lazy and then blame non-existent thyroid problems. That's pretty much what it boils down to. Don't blame anyone but yourself and then fix yourself. That's it. Oh, bro doesn't own a mirror. I guess that's a fat joke. So you're going to tell me that I'm fat, right? Good for you. Don't care. Your opinions mean nothing. All right. Just J Pisk. My goal is to make the NHL on the Leafs. Why would you want to play for the Toronto Maple Leafs? By God, what a bunch of bums they are. You know what the strangest part about Toronto Maple Leaf fans is that you know damn well they're never going to win the Stanley Cup again. Why would they? They're sold out for 10 years. And when a business has sold tickets 10 years in advance, why spend money? It doesn't matter how bad the Maple Leafs are as a product. You're going to keep going. You're going to pay the $350 for platinum seats. You just are, So, I would say, forget about it. I mean, the last time the Toronto Maple Leafs won a Stanley Cup, there were only 6 teams in the league. And what does that say? By the way, I do have. Oh, come on, Gypsic. You just made enemy for talking smack about the Leafs. I'm in Calgary now. I talk smack about the Flames too. All right. Think about that. The Flames, they got the worst worst season they've had in years. The players hate the coach hates the players, the brass hate everybody, and tickets are cheap now. The Flames suck so much that tickets are $30. So, really, what does it matter if I don't like the Leafs, and what does it matter if I don't like the Flames? I don't like the Rangers either. Yeah, and I really Canadians, Montreal Canadiens. I don't know. All right, look, I used to be a huge hockey fan. Massive hockey fan. I never missed the Leafs, okay? I used to be a hardcore Leaf fan. Big time. But after the 3rd player strike, remember, there were 3 player strikes in the NHL in my adult life. I gave up. I gave up on the NHL. So it's not the Leafs I gave up on. It was the entire league, the entire product. I no longer saw it as something that was viable. And I also, J-Pisk, I was working at a hockey rink, at a hockey school called Future Stars Arena. And Peter Sarno, who at the time was playing for the Edmonton Oilers, he worked there. And I asked him, what's the deal with this player strike? Whose fault is it? He goes, yeah, that's the players' fault this time. We got a bit too greedy. And then I asked him, I said, okay, so how much do you make a year? He goes, about $750,000 a year. $750,000 a year to play hockey. So he's more towards the league minimum, but imagine $750,000 to play hockey. I've got to pay $1,000 to play hockey. He gets paid to play hockey, and he wasn't happy with that. The players weren't happy with that. So I just gave up. And yeah, okay, J Pesk, if the Leafs win the Stanley Cup, you contact me. I will give you my phone number, and I will let you mock me for 60 straight minutes. All right, how does that sound? Is that a deal? You can mock me. You can laugh at me. You can whatever you wish. You can insult every facet of my being, and I will listen to all of it. All right. That's the deal that I make. All right. You know me. I keep my deals. All right. There we go. All right. Titan. Hockey is altogether garbage and a waste of life and money. Well, yeah, pro hockey is. I mean, I enjoyed playing the game. I reffed it for 30 years. I coached it for 30 years. And I loved it at the time. But the politics in hockey outweigh the hockey itself. And that's why I can't stand hockey anymore. So oh yeah, and CFL, Titan, you're right. The Canadian Football League, it used to be good, used to be entertaining, and it sucks now too. And it's become political, but it's allowed the politics to make the men who play in the Canadian Football League really soft. I went to the Labor Day Classic last year. So every year, the Edmonton Eskimos, they call themselves the Elks now, come to Calgary and play the Stampeders. That's every year on Labor Day. And it was the most boring football game I ever watched. They're not even trying to hit each other anymore. It's like little push. Because men are not men anymore. I think we all know that. So I'm done with pro football as well. The only sport that I watch that I'm willing to pay for is professional lacrosse. That's the truth. Pro lacrosse players, they make about $20,000 a season. So they're in it for the game, not the money. Most of them are cops, they're firemen, they're weightlifters, they are MMA fighters. A lot of them, they're looking for something else to do with their time. And if they play for a pro lacrosse team, they make an extra 20, 30, 40,000 bucks a year, and they get to fly all over North America at someone else's expense. And I have no problem whatsoever giving the pro lacrosse leagues my money. Because first off, it's a great sport. It really is a great sport. And secondly, the athletes, they care. And if I am going to watch hockey, I will only watch the Canadian Hockey League. That's the combination of the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, the Ontario Hockey League, and the Western Hockey League, because those kids are not pros yet. They don't get paid, but they want to be pros, so they give it their all. And that is something that I appreciate. So the skill level is not NHL level, but it's damn good hockey. So I'll give them my $20 to go watch a game to see the future pros trying to become pros. Much better use of time and money. All right. So I used to play lacrosse. This is Curly May. I used to play lacrosse, but when I played, there were no girls, so I played with the boys. Oh, okay. So Curly, you're a woman, and you play with the boys, and I'm okay with that. You see, look, this whole thing about men and women's sports, I'm dead set against it. Oh, go nuts. No, I'm not balding. My hairline has been exactly here since I was 18 years of age. All right. If you pull it back like this, my hair, look at that. I got the Batman logo in my head. Isn't that cool? Some people call it the McDonald's arch, but I've had the same hairline since I was 18. But nice try. Okay, getting back to it is I'm okay with women who excel so much in their leagues that they move up. I get that, because where else does a woman go? You're not going to go to a better professional league. You can go to a men's league. It might not be pro, it might be major junior, but that's all right. I'm okay with that. So long as they don't bring their feminist politics with them. Hopefully the female athlete moving up is not a feminist. Hopefully she's someone who just wants to be better. But failing that, I'm okay with women moving up. I'm not okay with men moving down into sports leagues. Oh, Matt Kazan, you don't like me? I'm going to do you a favor and throw you out of here. Goodbye. All right. There we go. And thoughts with the beach. Yeah, you're a troublemaker. So let's just get you out of here too. We're going to get rid of the troublemakers in TikTok today because we don't need them. We absolutely don't need them. All right. So Titan says, you're onto something and telling the truth when the Canadian government turns you into a political prisoner. Right on, KevinJJohnston. Yeah, that's true. That's true, Mike. The Canadian government will punish people like myself who stand up for the rights of other Canadians. That's what we do. Okay, thoughts with Beach. I think we didn't block him properly. Let's confirm. All right, there we go. So the left wingers, unfortunately, TikTok has a lot of that kind of thing. It's really sad that people decide that they want to come in and argue and insult. Just knock it off. All right. Like, if you don't want to be here, leave. Just go whoop in TikTok and we're done. Viking Blue, a few of them have Little Convoy, and now you're all freedom fighters. Kind of stupid. I'm not sure I'm following that remark. So if you want to rephrase that, I'll address it. Okay, next question. This is an email. Is it true that you used to work for the Toronto Star? Yeah, but you know what? Funny how that worked. It wasn't by choice. In 1994, I was writing movie reviews and restaurant reviews for Fast Forward magazine. It wasn't a big magazine, but it had enough of a following that it was published every 6 weeks, which is kind of odd because usually magazines were published either every month, every second month, or twice a year. But to be able to go out every 6 weeks was very interesting. So I would have to watch 7 movies a week and go to 5 restaurants a week and write all my reviews. And the magazine would just kind of pick and choose and put everything in that they thought that they liked. And that was it. And then Toronto Star came out and decided to buy this magazine because the Toronto Star had an extremely unsuccessful launch of their food reviews and their movie reviews. They weren't being read all that much because this little Fast Forward magazine that was only like 10 people that worked there was taking all of that. And my audience was big. I used to get a lot of fan mail in the mailbox, right? Before email, right? Like people, they weren't even on bulletin boards back then, online bulletin boards. It was going to be a matter of they had to mail me something. And it was really nice to get handwritten letters. So Toronto Star bought that out. And I worked for Toronto Star in the division of Fast Forward 4 months, maybe. And the editor kept calling me into his office, telling me that I had to change my writing style. He didn't like the way I was writing things. And I said, like, dude, I write for comedy. I write for a little bit of shock value, not much, just a little bit, but people read my stuff. So no, the answer is no. And I got fired from Toronto Star because I wouldn't do what the editor said. And the editor was this little creepy, weird guy, bald head and comb over. And just you could tell he was skulking around the corners, sniffing girls' bicycle seats. He was just that kind of guy. Had no use for him. All right. So Lone Wolf, obviously you are here to cause trouble. So let's get you out of the room. Manage, block, confirm. And Psycho Black 28 had to point out that the books behind me are fake. Yeah, I talk about that all the time on my show. Right? It's a $20 poster that's made of vinyl that reflects light back outwards so that I don't have to put 10,000 watts of lighting in front of me. All right? Yes. And because you want to cause trouble, we'll get rid of you as well. So bye-bye to you. There we are. So could we please, people, stick to questions? This is questions and answers. This is not insult day. All right. If you guys want to do that, I can start having insult times. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you would show up for that. Today are questions and answers. You ask a question, I answer it. Oh, and user 90 something something. I love that bookshelf in the background. Well, thank you. I didn't design it, but I did pay for it. So we'll just say thank you very much. It's a very, very handy thing to be able to have a background that's not green screen. A lot of people ask me why I don't use green screen is because you've got to light the green screen from above. You got to light it from the bottom. You got to light it from the sides. You got to light it everywhere. And the lighting on the green screen has to be equally as bright as the lighting in front on me. And the big issue with that is that you get that graininess, especially around the hair or around like when your shirt folds up, it gets really grainy there. And more processing power, you need more RAM, and the computer overheats because it's trying to, in real time, keep the green screen cut out. It's doing the chroma key thing. Forget it. This is easier. All right. So yes, the books are fake in the background. I don't know why that matters. Let me just shoot over to the Rumble room. All right. Anybody who's in Rumble, feel free to ask your questions. You can throw them in email. You can throw them absolutely everywhere that you wish. We're on DLive and Twitch as well. So feel free to throw your questions in there. I'm also on Streamlive. So if you are asking questions on Facebook, Twitch, what's the other one? Oh, man, I forget. There's like 4 different platforms. They will appear, and I will see them in the main chat room here. Titan Mike Powers says, never forget that liberalism is a mental illness and always will be in the eyes of patriot Canadians. Well, there is something wrong with the liberal mindset in that it's so easy for liberals to believe everything that they hear. And the crazier it is, the faster they believe it. And that's really unfortunate because there was a time like they tried to shove liberalism down our throats when I was in high school. And maybe about 10, 15% of kids fell for that nonsense. But now it's the exact reverse. About 85% of kids will fall for all of this nonsense. And I think really social media is the problem. And that is why I hate social media so much, is it's so easy now to get the stupidest ideas in the world out to the masses in record time. So you get bombarded every single day by Greta Thunberg saying that the planet's warming up. No, it's not. You get other ones out there saying there are 72 genders. No, there are not. The term is sex, by the way, not gender. There are 2 sexes. Gender is a made-up term. Dred Zeppelin. What liberalism were you taught in high school? Chlorofluorocarbons destroyed the ozone layer. That was one. Plastic bags destroyed the planet. That was another one. Acid rain. They said that industrial pollutants were going to cause all rain clouds to pour acid on crops. That's liberalism. It's junk. It's garbage. They had not yet tried to push pedophilia on us, which is what's being done today, but they were trying to push us into fearing society and societal collapses to get more tax dollars out of us. But my generation didn't fall for it. And so they tried again and again and again and again. They just kept trying. And now it's working. Now they're actually getting people to to be afraid of everything. And that is a terrifying notion. Nobody wants to think for themselves anymore. That's really a problem. Squirrel Eater, thoughts on Canada bolstering its troop deployment in Latvia? I don't know. Are they? I haven't looked at Latvia at all. Since Latvia split from the Soviet Union, I haven't even looked into them. I just, out of curiosity's sake, I looked at their flag and that was it. I'm not up on any Latvian news right now. But because you brought it up, I'll see if that is an issue to be worried about. Thank you for pointing that out to me. Titan Mike, when Pierre Poilievre becomes Prime Minister of Canada, there will be justice and prosecution against the Liberals. I'm not so sure about that, Mike. Pierre Poilievre has been very vocal against Justin Trudeau since he took office, extremely vocal, and I've enjoyed his insults directly at the Prime Minister of the country. But he is a supporter of the World Economic Forum. I have a problem with that. So what is going to happen here? If Pierre Poilievre gets in, Canadians are going to get a break. We will. We're going to get a break for about a year, maybe just a little bit longer. He's not going to enact anything crazy for the first year because he's going to have to undo some of what Justin Trudeau has done. But it's going to be in his second year. That's when politicians tend to cave in and give in to international pressure, which I'm pretty sure he will. So expect, if Pierre Poilievre can win next year, expect a year of peace. So in that year, Mike, make as much money as you can, because the year after, that's going to go away as well. All right. Shoot over to email here. All right. Like making childcare unaffordable again. When was the last time, Keeper or whatever your name is, when was the last time that you can think of, and I'm not insulting you, when was the last time you can think of that childcare in Canada was affordable? My kids are in their 20s now. 20 years ago, Montessori academies were not affordable. We had to make serious choices. And in that choice, we had to decide, do we have a home line and cell phones? And the answer was no. We decided to go with cell phones. So we got rid of the home line. Do we have cable TV? No, we got rid of that. Do we have 2 cars in our family? No, we sold one, and that way we didn't have to pay car insurance on a second car. We sacrificed to make sure that my kids could have daycare. And even then, I had to work 2 jobs. So I was refereeing hockey 5 nights a week, not necessarily because I really wanted to, but because I needed the additional $75 a day to be able to pay for that childcare. All right. So then I thought to myself, wait a minute, what the hell am I doing? I'm busting my hump 20 hours a day to pay for childcare. Forget it. I moved my office back home, and I was with my kids during the day, and I did all my work at night when they went to bed. Plus I refereed at night. So it ended up being a great thing for me. Childcare was so unaffordable. We got rid of a car, cable TV, extra fun stuff. I had to work 2 jobs, and eventually I gave up. I got rid of my office. All right. So that's what's going on there. All right. So, Caper, I understand what you're saying. We don't have the option to work from home. Not everybody does. And I am sympathetic to those who don't. But that's where teamwork comes in. That's where man and woman have to identify their roles within a marriage, and they've got to work together as a team to find a way to get all that to work. And the biggest issue that we have in our society is not necessarily childcare. It's the fact that men and women choose not to get along. Is that everybody feels they've been wrongly done by every single day of the week. We got to stop that nonsense. It's BS, and we all know it. Adults no longer know how to be adults within the confines of a relationship, and that is why our children are failing, is because as adults are failing. Think about that. All right. Tara Sullivan, within a year, Pierre Poilievre will become dictator and all haters will be shocked. I don't disagree with that statement. I don't disagree with that. It just won't be as tyrannical as Justin Trudeau. It might be 80% as much. There will be some breaks that we get because Pierre understands that he's going to have to fix enough things to keep a small bit of the economy going. But I do not disagree with you that he will be involved heavily with the UN, the World Health Organization, and the World Economic Forum. I'm not one who's optimistic about the future of Canada. I honestly believe the country is already done. And the only way for Canada to survive would be for Canadians to leave, but also for Alberta and maybe Saskatchewan to come with it, split from Canada, become its own country. and throw the Liberals out. We'd have to. But Canadians are not brave enough to do that. So it's not going to happen. Okay. So Mike is saying jihadi Justin Trudeau and the RCMP need to be investigated for their crimes against the Canadian people. That's a fact. Well, and crimes against humanity. And there are many RCMP officers, you are correct, Mike, who have stepped down in not necessarily in protest. They just don't want to be enforcing these draconian laws anymore. And I don't blame them. But they still get a pension that we pay for. Raujo, 1973. I'm moving to Cochrane, Alberta. Cochrane's cool. The Calgary region is the best part of Alberta, hands down. There's no two ways about it. And the best part about being in Calgary, everybody, is that you're about an hour's drive from the mountains, maybe a bit less. And I guess like even the best campgrounds, 3-hour drive tops. So Calgary is cool. I do like the city, I'm not going to lie, but the politics here suck. God, it just sucks here for politics. But you can make good friends in Calgary, something that's very difficult to do in the province of Ontario. Jeffrey says British Columbia is going to become a separate nation. No, I'll tell you why they won't. Because the province of British Columbia, it trades on the New York Stock Exchange. Did you know that? The entire corporation of the province of British Columbia trades on the stock market, and it needs to continue to be part of Canada to get free money to keep the stock price up. Something that people don't know. Okay, why do we not have a system in place that can remove these criminals from their positions? Muka, good question. Because the Canadian people never demanded it and never did anything about it. Canada is not a country that fought for everything that it has. Canada is a country that was formed by a bunch of aristocrats writing up a bunch of paperwork and then just saying, okay, now we have a country. Now we have a highway. Now we have a law. Now we have this and that. But it wasn't like America. America fought for everything that it has. So with that part of our culture having been aristocratic as opposed to militaristic, Canadians never fought for anything. And I don't think they know how. So unfortunately, our government's going to stay in power. Nothing more I can do about that, unfortunately. I live in BC and things can change. I agree to disagree. Well, okay, hold on. Jeremy, with the right leadership. Yes, we don't have the right leadership anymore. There are no leaders in this country. There are just a bunch of cackling hens. That's all that we have. And the men and the women are just complaining and crying and not achieving anything. So regrettably, until we have real men stepping up to the plate to become real leaders, no, BC is not going to change. And Alberta is not going to fare much better. Believe me, in about 6 months, Danielle Smith, the premier, she'll start doing exactly what she's told by the World Economic Forum as well. All right. So Legna Nomad, do you agree that Freemasonry upholds good morals and helps communities? That's a whole day. That is a whole day. Freemasonry, it's not an easy one for me to answer in one question. I've been invited to join Freemasons, and then they found out that I wasn't rich enough to join. So I was denied. I wasn't going to join anyway, but I was denied based on the fact that they did not think I was rich enough, which means I could not pay into their coffers enough. So do I think, first off, like every institution, it's a money-making institution, just like the Catholic Church, you know, just like the Muslim League of Canada, just like the Communist League of Canada. All these leagues are for money, cash, 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 and as much political power as they can gain. But the Freemasons, the wealthy ones, do put money into positive things. Every single group out there has the ability to do well, to do good by people. And sometimes they do. So do I think Freemasonry upholds good morals? I think that they act like they do. And I think that they do some good when they're looking for a tax write-off. But beyond that, no institution is good because human beings inherently are not good. Human beings inherently are selfish, and selfishness can lead to a lot of bad things, unfortunately. Gerbawash, thank you for sharing the live. Actually, everyone, share this live, please, if you could. Share. Share on Facebook, share on Rumble, share on TikTok, if you could, please. All right. We got half an hour to go here. Caper 3434 says there are no good choices anymore. Yeah, we have no good choices for leadership in Canada, unfortunately. Canada, again, is not a warrior spirit country. It's just not. So there are no warriors stepping up to the plate. Legna says you don't have to be rich to join. Well, I agree. Well, let's agree to disagree on that one. There is a set amount that they want you to be able to make in a year because they word it this way. They say that you need to be an upstanding citizen and prove to us that you're capable of supporting your family. But they don't tell you what the exact amount of money is that they feel that you would require to support your family. At the time I was approached to join, I was not making six figures, so I couldn't be a part of it. Okay. After the trucker convoy, why didn't we do like the Dutch and create our own new riding and get our people voted in? Because that's not the Canadian way. And it sucks that it's not the Canadian way. Canadians do not put strength in their heads. They honestly don't believe that they can do anything. They don't believe that it's their duty to do anything. And Canadians, on the whole, believe it's someone else's responsibility to do things for them. How often have you heard a Canadian say, it's about time someone did something about that guy? Yeah, it's someone else's job. Complacency and decadence are bad. They're not good things for human beings. Canada was a decadent nation from 1948 to about 1994. That's 4.5 decades of decadence, where generations didn't have to achieve anything because money was there. Jobs were there. Everything was just given to them. And now everything is being taken from them and they have no idea what to do. And then I come out and I tell them the truth about it. And what happens? They get offended. You're offending Canadians, man. Get offended if you want. It's not going to make what I say any less true. All right. F for Della Legend. What is your background? My racial background, my societal background, my educational background. Could you be a bit more clear on the questions, please? Okay. Legna is saying there are no monetary conditions to joining. How do you know that? Tell me what it is that you think I'm missing. And again, you cannot be invited to join. Not true. I was. Canadians are too docile. Dalton, I agree. Okay. Let's see if I can pronounce it. Ex-federal agent. God, you know what? Everything's in lowercase. Okay, I get that. After the trucker convoy, it was good, but we needed to stop paying our taxes or filing them. Yeah, it's strange. In Canada, you don't have to pay your income tax. Isn't that weird? They get mad when you don't file, but if you file and you owe, you actually don't have to pay them. Isn't that crazy? I learned this the hard way. Why would you pay your income tax? The only tax you have to pay in Canada that if you don't pay, you'll get hurt. That is property tax, municipal property tax. Pay your municipal property tax so no one takes your house. But federal income tax, forget it. I don't pay that crap. Dorky Dan 3, my parents never got part of that decadence you speak of. Okay, well, not everybody did, but a lot of people did. More than 3/4 of the country did. And that decadence has led us to being a lazy society. I'm telling you the truth about Canadians in general. And when they got decadence, it didn't make them better people. It made them worse. You want an example? Let's just talk about my father for a minute. I have zero memories of my father not sitting in front of the television set after work. All right, that generation, my father's generation, for whatever the reason, this technology called the idiot box television, which in many cases the TVs were this big and black and white, people sat in front of them all the time, every single day. Like, why was television part of our culture to the point where nobody would do anything with their time? So you had a whole lot of adult men, and it wasn't just my dad. It was all the dads. They weren't outside playing hockey with their kids. They were watching television. So that generation, because of decadence, because the fact that one income could support an entire house and 2 cars and the phone and insurance and all that stuff, right? They didn't do anything to improve themselves beyond that. They gave up. And that's the problem with decadence, is that people will eventually just stop. Okay. Okay. Vintage tea. We talked about this before. Bye-bye. Okay. If you're here to throw insults, you're out. Ask questions or make proper social commentary. Oh, there's another one. User, whatever you are, you're out of here too. Okay, confirm. There are rules if you want to be in this TikTok, everybody. No profanity, no insults. You can insult me at other times. This is not the platform for it. This is questions and answered, okay? Questions and answers to your questions. Let me just shoot over to the Rumble room. All right, we've got no questions there. Let me shoot back to the email box here. Oh, here we go. There's an email for you. You're ugly as hell. Why do you call yourself Canada's best looking man? Because it irritates the hell out of the left-wing nuts out there. All right? I am well aware of the fact that there's at least 2 or 3 men in the world better looking than me. Okay? I have to live with that. But when I talk like that, it actually irritates the far left. They spend so much time arguing or trying to argue with me. I don't engage them. Trying to argue with me about the fact that I am declaring myself the best looking man in the country. Why does that bother you so much? Why do you care what someone twice your age has to say? And why are you so willing to make yourself look foolish by swearing at me, by setting an email like that in there? Who cares? All right. Does it matter? And let's just say, hey, for argument's sake, everybody who's watching right now, there is somebody in the world who would view you as the best looking person in the world. Like taste. Everyone's taste is different. But if it's going to continue to bother you so much, I'm going to continue to say it. That's it. Who cares? Okay. Kevin J., how come when you had the Million Man March, you were lacking 998,000 attendees? When did I have a Million Man March? When did I ever organize that? That is not something that I organized. That is being organized right now by the Islamic community in Ontario, and good for them. I really hope they get 1 million people out to their march, but that's not something I ever advertised. Oh, hold on. Beach Basement, you're out of here. Bye-bye to you. Block, confirm. Again, people, if you hate my guts, that's okay. I can live with your hatred. Why are you here? Just blow. Get out of here. Am I far right? No. I am slightly right of center. The far right are guys like the Ku Klux Klan. I hate those guys. Anybody who's far right is equally as dangerous to the world as the far left. So no, I have no use for them whatsoever. Okay, name 5 book titles without looking. Why? I read at least 5 books a week. And F83 Vivalomi says that he's the best looking person in the world. Okay, good for you. I don't even know if I agree or disagree, but thank you. Okay, what we got there? 2017, you went and got assaulted. I've been assaulted a lot. Yeah, 2017, I was assaulted by 42 members of Antifa. And I fought them off successfully. You know, I'm still alive, obviously. And they've made 5 more attempts since then. Okay, and here we go again with the coffee company. Name your coffee company. KevinJJohnston Coffee Co. C-O period. All right. People and the PPC are far right. That's why they can't win. No, they're not far right. They're slightly right. Again, far right would be someone that comes out and indicates that we're going to put everybody who's left wing in jail. That would be a far right individual. And that's not what the PPC is doing. That's not what anybody that I know who's conservative is doing right now. Right? So PPC is right wing, much like the new government that they have in Spain and in Italy. They are right wing governments that are patriots. All right. So Sens Pool asked me, who do you vote for? I voted for the Solidarity Party in the last election. Okay. All right. So Dorky Dan, please stop repeating yourself. All right. You've already said it. I've addressed you just one time per question or statement. All right. Let me just check the chat rooms over here, everybody. And again, feel free to throw your questions in the room. Kevin, after a potential deadly diagnosis like kidney disease, how does one overcome the fear and depression? Well, John, the best advice I give everybody who's come out of surgeries, and I've had a few myself, is you spend as much time as you possibly can with people that you love and people that you know love you. You know, for example, the last 2 surgeries that I had, and both of them are pretty severe, I spent as much time as I could around my kids. It was amazing. I just seeing my kids play with Lego in front of me while I'm healing helped me heal faster. And it is depressing. I know how much pain you're in when they cut pieces of you off or they cut into your body to fix things. Yeah, pain sucks. Like that kind of pain. There are certain pains I hate. And I'll maybe break it down for you here. I'd rather break a bone than rip a tendon. The soft tissue damage hurts so much. And yeah, it is depressing when you've got things like an elbow, like a shoulder that clicks or an elbow that won't bend and so on. That's what you need to do. You need to ignore the outside world when you're recovering from surgeries and be with people that you love. My advice I would give to anybody. Okay. Trip Chick. Sorry, you're saying who's a white Christian nationalist? Are you referring to the Solidarity Party? If you're referring to that, Christians are every skin color. That I know for a fact. Christians are all over the world. There's even Pakistani Christians that get persecuted inside of Pakistan, and they are nationalists. I guess the question that I would pose to anybody is, what is so wrong with nationalism? What is it about nationalism that people hate so much? People mistake nationalism for racism. And anybody can like an idea. A country is not just land. A country is an ideal. It's an ideology. It's a culture. It's a lifestyle. It's a way that people behave and treat each other. Nationalism is a good thing. Believe me when I say this. It bothers me so much that there's so much anti-Christian rhetoric out there. Yeah, really, what is it? What awful thing did Christians do to people to make them hate Christians so much? Okay? I am Catholic, and I know the Catholic Church is a horrendous institution. I despise the Pope. But people mistake religion for spirituality, and that they're not the same thing. Not at all. So let's understand that nationalism is good, because Canada at one point was the best country that our species had ever created. And now it sucks. And it sucks in less than 20 years after its peak. Think about that. That's how quickly an institution can collapse. That's how quickly an ideology can be bastardized. Think about it. Opinion on Ukraine war spending. It's not war spending, it's money laundering. That's all that it is. It's wealth being moved from a rich country, Canada, to a poor country, Ukraine. But the country of Ukraine is poor because of lack of leadership, because a disgusting pedophilic former stand-up comedian is in charge of the country, and he's just grabbing people's cash left, right, center. And the Russians know it. And that's why Russia's going to win this thing. The Ukraine has no chance whatsoever. And I'm not taking sides, by the way. I'm just not. I'm saying that I don't want my tax dollars going to Ukraine, but they are. And that's what happens when you have weak leaders. Trudeau is the weakest leader in the world currently. And he's giving our money to another weak leader, Zelensky. Zelensky is not a leader. He's not even a man. Have you seen him dancing around in high heels? He proudly makes videos of himself dancing in high heels. That's not a leader. That's somebody with a fetish who can't wait to get more of our money to do more of what he's doing. All right. Oh, hey, Heshem made it into the room. Nationalism is good as long as it's a third world and non-Christian country. Well, yeah, the left wing would agree with you on that. And I know you're being ironic in that statement. That is correct. John says, Kevin, what is it about modern left that they can't seem to grasp that being on the right does not mean that one is a racist or a bigot? One can merely be fiscally worried about leaving all kinds of debt for the generations to come. That's a very, very good question. John, it's because left-wingers, they want stuff for free. They want other people to pay for it, but they don't understand modern economics. And that is, if you keep giving money away, where does the rest of it come from? Well, you have to print more. And when you print more, what does that do? it puts too much currency into the economy and the value of it goes down, which means prices go up. The left wing doesn't understand that. And they don't understand that when you leave debt for a future generation, that destroys the country in the future. So it's very self-centered thinking. At the same time, there's a lot of liberal left-wingers out there who have bought into the notion that Extinction Rebellion is somehow a good thing, and that if they have a child, the world gets polluted somehow. So they're not thinking about future generations. They're thinking about themselves and themselves only. So it's just a very selfish mindset. And in order for them to feel better about their selfish mindset, what they do is they blame right-wingers. It's their fault. They're racist because they don't want to give me free money so I can do nothing. I want to play video games 12 hours a day, and someone else has to pay for that. And if they don't pay for it, I'm going to call them names. That's left-wing thinking. So they are quite aware of what they are doing in reference to lying. They are more than aware of it. And a lot of them are aware that their ideas are so corrupt and so foolish that they have to continue to lie about it. And they'll censor anyone who disagrees with them. They understand. They know what they're doing. Not all, but there's a lot of them that do know what they're doing. Okay, corruption in the Catholic Church has gone on for centuries. Yes, it has. Oh, sure it has. The Catholic Church has held back so much technology that we probably would have been on the moon in the 1800s had they not held it back. Oh, I'm not a fan. Believe me, I'm not a fan. Okay. All right, and I'll address it one more time. The bookshelf behind me is not made of wood. It's a vinyl poster that's really, really bright and reflects light off of it this way, because I used to build studios and I know exactly how to light them, and I know exactly how to soundproof them. And I wanted this specific background specifically to bounce light from those lights off this way, because it's very good to have front, side, and back lighting, which you can see. How many shadows do you see? Aside from this one right here, how many shadows do you see? It's not many. All right, there you go. And TikTok, Todd, whatever, insults, get you booted. Not interested in insults at all. Block and confirm. But for those out there who are wondering about my degree, I have 2 degrees. I have a BA and an MBA. And I've never once put those on a resume because who cares? I've also taught at 5 major colleges in Canada. Yeehaw. All right. Dorky Dan says the rich could start paying their part instead of taking our tax dollars to get richer. That's a very complicated statement. The problem is if you don't give tax breaks to the rich, they don't set up shop in your country. So Trump, for example, when he said that he did take advantage of all the tax breaks available to him, he said it because everyone does who's rich. The flip side to that argument is that Trump employs over 50,000 people. And if Trump was not able to take advantage of tax breaks, he would move his operation to another country, and that country would be the benefactor of those jobs. So it's a very complicated world that we live in. It's never black and white like we all think that it is. Okay. I'm just checking all the questions now in TikTok, everybody. All right. Conservatism kills. I think I remember you from last week. I have to disagree with that statement because there's no way for you to back that statement up in any way. Twilly, what did I teach? Back in 1992 to 1995, I was teaching, obviously, computers, the history of computers. I was teaching marketing. I was also a lot of instruction in public speaking. The colleges that I used to work for, let's see if we got them here. Sheridan, Humber, Seneca, George Brown, and the Richmond School of Commerce. So I had taught for those colleges, and then eventually I moved to the United States and worked for Hewlett Packard for 4 years. And that paid very well. It was very well. Trump for Prime Minister of Canada. Hells to the yes on that one. By the way, if anybody wants to come in to my show here, the live broadcast, arrange it with me in advance, please. That's something that you have to do. Arrange it with me in advance. If you actually have something to say, I have to vet you. Because the last thing that I want is for one of you to come on the screen here. And this has happened before. I've seen this happen. is that, sometimes people come on the show or go on other people's podcasts and they just get naked and flash their stuff. It's just like weird stuff people do. And it's kind of funny that I got a phone call from my lawyer out in Ontario, and he's saying, Kevin, you're not going to believe this, but your name came up right across the board in every courthouse in the country. Thinking, okay, well, I'm not even in court in Ontario. I'm not even in Ontario. So what are you talking about? And what happened is there was another Kevin Johnston who had a court date that day, and the far left who hates me assumed it was me. So when the court session started on Zoom, there's over 100 people that got in there, and they were screaming and shouting into the microphones, and they were showing clips of pornography, and they were showing their wangs and all kinds of stuff on court. Like, really? You hate me that much that you're willing to risk going to prison for contempt of court? Think about how crazy that is. That's really weird behavior, man. Okay. All right. So we're getting a few comments here. Why does CBC call you racist? Because they were instructed to. The Canadian Broadcasting Corporation has been instructed to and bribed by the Liberal government of Canada to make me look as bad as possible. They've never interviewed me properly, and whenever they did, which is maybe 3 times, they've always taken my words and restructured them, which is why whenever I was being interviewed by anyone, I always go live. I'm always live when somebody is interviewing me, so that the real interview is there, uncensored by them and uncensored by me. That's how that works. Justin Trudeau is by far the worst Prime Minister Canada's ever seen. The worst leader in over 100 years. Absolutely. Okay. Here for whatever. Who are you and why are you important? All right, let's do it, everyone. I love that question. My name is KevinJJohnston, Canada's #1 podcaster and best-looking man. You can catch my show live every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time at www.freedomreport.ca. That's freedomreport.ca. Why am I important? Because I'm the #1 podcaster in the country, baby. That's why. All right, Bruce says, I met Tamara Leach last week at a book signing in Simmering Kettle, Barrie. Fabulous. I've actually yet to speak to her. I haven't met her in person yet, nor have I spoken to her on the phone, which is really unfortunate because, like me, she was imprisoned by the Canadian government just for running podcasts, just for talking. Crazy. There are right now 200 political prisoners in Canada. Right now. People who just disagree with Justin Trudeau, and they're in prison with no court dates in sight. Right? You don't have any rights in Canada. Canada is a full-blown communist country. Hesham. Also, vetting makes sure the people wanting to come on the show are not left-wing nuts with an agenda. Well, Hesham, I don't mind. I don't mind debate. So if somebody who has the exact opposite viewpoints that I do comes on my show and wants to debate politely, then they're welcome to be here. I don't shy away from debate. It's everybody else who shies away from debate with me. Instead of debating, there's insults. They want to talk about my mom. What is it with that? And they want to tell me how small my penis is. What is it with that? That's not debate. So I always welcome left-wingers on my show, but I will vet them first. You got to make sure that they're not some punk who's going to do exactly what I said, flash on the show. Because my show is watched by families. Children watch the Kevin J. Johnston show. So I'm not going to allow that kind of behavior to be on the show. All right, Bruce Chem 22. Let's you and I meet. I've been supporting you for years. Well, Bruce, I don't know. Where are you? All right, you know where I am. Everyone knows I'm in Calgary. Where are you? All right, I'm going to shoot over to the email box here and see what's in email. All right. Oh, Bruce, you're in Barrie. All right, 2 time zones away. All right, come on down. Let me know when you're coming out. We'll have a beer. I don't drink, but I'll watch you have a beer, and I'll have a piping hot cup of coffee. All right. All right. Facebook user says, no debate here. Just want to thank you for speaking up and speaking the truth. Well, thank you for that. I do appreciate it. Certainly do. Well, Bruce, I don't drink either, so we'll have coffee instead. I'm all over that. All right. Okay, here's one. Where do you get your podcast question ideas from? Ah, people ask me that all the time. You know what? I know exactly. Hold on. I'm going to bring something up here. Just give me a second there. Okay. I know exactly where to go for this. All right. So, podcast questions. There's a lot of people who want to get into podcasting and they're amateurs, and you got to start somewhere. So, being an amateur is not an insult. It's just you're an amateur and you don't have experience to fall back on. Now, with the podcast I do and with the interviews that I do not do scripts. I won't read them. Even when I'm doing commercials for people, I'll read their script and I will ad lib it on the fly. I do not like scripts. I did one scripted show. I was back in 2018. I'm pretty sure it was 2018. It was the worst piece of crap that I ever put out. I took my name off of it and I told the guys, delete that show and don't ever ask me to do scripts again. Everything I do is off the cuff. It's live. I don't do scripts. And I've been advised a number of times that I should start doing scripts because my show would be better. How in the hell do you think that an ad-libbed show, which has been ad-libbed for 6 years, would get better with a script? Period. So I decided to answer that question a few weeks ago, and I'm going to answer it again now. Why do I not use scripts? Because podcasters, a lot of them don't know how to talk, have a conversation. All right. So here's advice. This is podcaster question advice. If you have a guest on your show, here are some personal questions you should ask. How would your family and friends describe you? You've got a guest on your show. Who the hell cares about that? Nobody knows who your guest's family is. So why would anybody care about their opinions? Waste of time. 2, how would you describe yourself in one word? There's no correct answer to that. It's a stupid. I would say godlike, just so that we can get left-wingers to start asking stupid questions and throwing some insults out there. Why would I want someone to describe themselves in one word? If I've got somebody on my show, here's what I say. Hey, we got John Smith on the show tonight. John, I'd like you to tell my audience who you are, why you're famous, and why they have to care about you as much as I do. And let them talk. Let them talk. All right? How about this one? What's your favorite word? Really? What's your favorite word? Who cares? My favorite word, I'm not going to say on this broadcast, and it's not the F word. You might think it's that one. I'm not going to say it here because I have to back it up with an hour worth of description, of explanation. But why would I want to know what someone's favorite word is? Here's another one. What do you think your mission in life is? Everyone's mission is to get a little bit wealthier than they are today, maybe a little thinner, maybe a little smarter, provide for their kids and their family. Unless you're someone who's bent on being the leader of a country, what's the possible answer to that? It'd be the same as everybody else's answer. It's generic crap. Okay. Number 6 here. What is your first memory of blank? So I don't know. What's your first memory of Christopher Reeve, Arnold Schwarzenegger? Like, again, who cares? What are you most excited about now? If you're asking a man that question, the prospect of getting laid, that's probably the answer. All right. If you're asking a woman that one, probably the prospect of which man can I make miserable today? Okay. These are jokes, by the way. Stupid question. All right. Let's see here. What Enneagram type are you? You're going to waste someone's time with that? Okay. What do you think the world will look like in 5 years? Why? Who cares? There's no prediction that you're going to make that's correct. Nothing you say is going to be 100% correct. What do I think the world's going to be like in 5 years? It's going to be broke. The Western world's going to be broke. Africa, Russia, China, and Brazil will be richer. And there's going to be more incarcerated citizens in Canada and the United States than there are today. And they're all going to be political prisoners. Next question. Stupid. What is your biggest pet peeve? Bad podcasters. How's that? If you had to write a book tomorrow, What would you write about? Corruption? Smegma? Who cares? Right? Oh my Lord. What's the worst nightmare you ever had? You're really going to remember the worst nightmare you've had? You've probably had 5 or 6 in your lifetime, bad ones. And what if I told you somebody was being scientifically experimented on, their face turned blue and they exploded and I woke up? Who would care? Who watching a podcast would care about that answer? Really? What makes you smile? I guess when bad podcasters crash and burn, I suppose. Canadian politicians dropping dead from the jab. Right, there you go. That would make me smile. All right. What's the first thing that embarrassed you? This is advice that some podcaster is giving to other podcasters on what to ask guests on their podcast. What's my first embarrassing memory? Everyone is going to say the same thing the first time I shit my pants. Yeah, when I was 3. All right. Ridiculous stuff. So don't take that advice. Don't. This is the advice I would give to anybody who wants to be a podcaster. Read the dictionary. Learn lots and lots and lots of words. Learn history. Be up to date on the news today. And if your podcast is about something specific like sports, then you'd better know every professional sports team in the Western world. You'd better be up to speed on the top 10 athletes in each sport. That includes things like decathlon, like stuff that you don't care about. If you're going to be talking about ballet, you'd better know everybody who the best dancers in the world, the best diets in the world for that. You want to know the best concert halls to watch them in. You better know who the best composers are to have people dance too. You got to know this stuff inside and out. Food, you better be a chef. You want to talk about food, you better be a chef. All right. You better be good at cooking. You better be good at knowing the names of foods and the chemical makeup of foods. This is stuff you have to know, period. So yeah, Johnny says those are late night talk show questions. Yeah, they're pathetic questions. It's generic garbage. Every podcaster and news agency in the world uses questions like that. I don't. I have a conversation with my guests and I have no idea what I'm going to ask before the show starts. What I do when I have a guest on, I talk with them on the phone for at least an hour and a half, 2 hours prior to the show. And when I say prior to the show, I mean about the week before. Get a chance to know them. If they've written a book, I read it. If they have said something publicly that's of consequence, I watch the show. If they have a podcast, I watch a couple of episodes. I get to know them. And that's it. Now I'm armed with a little bit of knowledge as to who they are, but I'm still going to ask a question, talk a bit back and forth, banter, a couple of jokes. Next question. But the second question I ask will be a corollary to the first. And let's say the second question I ask is boring, then I'll tell them, hey, listen, we're going to flip it now. Let's switch to this and switch. It has to be live. It's got to be fluid. It has to be fun. It's got to be interesting for the audience. So don't go to that kind of advice if you want to be a podcaster, all right? Do what I say. Learn lots and lots and lots of words. Learn your subject matter inside and out. Practice in the mirror if you can. Watch stand-up comedians. Find out who's the funniest. Body language. Your body language has to match. See what I'm doing? It's got to match what you're doing right here and right now. And when I was doing voiceover work, when I was working for radio stations, I was doing a lot of ads for Chrysler, Jeep, and Dodge. We did a lot of beer ads and so on. When you are enunciating behind the microphone and nobody's watching, you still got to do it. Hey, join now and you'll get half off on your first purchase. Check us out today at whateverwebsite.com. And you've got to do these things when you are behind the microphone. You could, like cartoon voice actors, they will move their bodies with it. And if you're a podcaster, you got to do the same thing. You got to be alive, man. You got to make it fun for people. All right, we got 38 messages that I seem to have missed here. Okay. Aliens will take over in 4 years. Johnny, you're answering that stupid question. That's a good answer, by the way. What are your pronouns? Laugh out loud. I tell everyone the same thing. It's God and God, and that just drives them mental, drives them nuts, because they have no idea how to put that into the form of a question or a statement. Good for them. How do you address someone who's God and God? Yeah, that you don't. Right. I think someone's calling me a clown here. I'm not too sure if that's an insult or not. The clown emoji. Guys, don't do that. Ask questions. Never mind that clown stuff. Okay, keep going here. Bruce says, I'm vaccinated, but only one could use the anti-vax argument against me. I've never believed in COVID-19. So maybe if you want to tell me why you got vaxxed, I certainly could address that a bit better. Western Neb, that's an insult. And you are no longer welcome here. Manage and block. Hey guys, insults, you're out. All right, I'm not putting up with it anymore. Okay. Hey, this one's good. See, this is good. This type of podcasting here just got some audience interaction. User 4469 says, I just finished writing a book about horse racing. It's called Hoof Hearted. Now say that fast. By the way, that's not your joke. That's what's his name? Crocodile Dundee. He cracked that one back in 1984. All right. And C. Morris, you're out of here. Hold on. Block. Confirm. All right. We're just about over our time. Johnny Fondue, Flint Tropics are the best basketball team. That movie is hilarious, by the way. All right. That flick. Hold on. What's the title? Give me the title of that movie. I watched it twice. That is the slap shot of basketball. It's incredibly well done. It's Will Ferrell's best movie, actually. Can you give a shout out to my friend Herb Eversmells in Australia? Yeah. Okay. So Ever Smells. Sure. Shout. Okay. I'm just going to go through these. And still got some insults. I'm just going to the most recent ones here. And Paul Hogan stole that joke from my grandfather. Well, I don't know your grandfather, so I cannot confirm nor deny what you have just said. And I'm certainly not going to argue with anybody about the origins of jokes, although I don't think you're being very serious when you make that statement. Neil says, Pierre Polyev says, anyone in his cabinet involved with the World Economic Forum will be removed. I hope he's not lying about that. But again, about a year after he takes office, he will cave to the pressure. It's just what politicians do, unfortunately. All right. I'm just going to have a quick peek here at the Rumble Room. Free people, your mask videos were the best. Well, yeah, they were fun, but it's not that I really wanted to be doing that. I didn't want to have to run a video camera when I was shopping. I just wanted to go shopping and be left the hell alone. But it was amazing how many people would say, hey, you're not wearing a mask. Put a mask on. Like they tap their face along with that. And I'd have the camera running, usually live, either on Facebook or Instagram. And I'd turn the camera towards them so the world could see how stupid they were and ask, why? No, did you know there's a pandemic on? And I'd say, no, there isn't. And how many times did all of you see them say, well, my wife's a nurse? And she said, no, your wife's not a nurse. Don't bother with that lie. All right. Just leave me alone. Go away. I didn't walk around the store saying, hey, you're not wearing a black t-shirt and you're not handsome like me. I don't bother people when I shop. Why were they bothering me? All right. So yes. All right. It's going to keep going here. Back to the questions. Are you a homo? I don't know. I'm not Homo erectus. We're beyond that. Am I a homosexual? Is that the question? And the answer is no, I am quite straight, but I don't give a crap who is gay, so long as they're not going to stick it in my face, figuratively, and of course, literally. And I've just been called a lunatic, so we're going to have to get rid of you. We said no insults, and I'm sticking by that. Okay, an insult is not debate, and it's nothing that even needs to be addressed. So just get out of here. All right. Looking a quick look here. Would love to hear about Pat King. He used to be on your show. Yeah, I have not heard from Pat King in a while. Pat King is another Canadian patriot who's been mistreated by the Canadian government. I'm pretty sure that the RCMP have got a car parked right outside of his house all the time, harassing him. I'm pretty sure they're tapping his phone lines. I think the best thing right now is to leave Pat alone. He did spend 4 months in prison for absolutely nothing. So I think it's best to leave him be and let him live with his family, because that's what family men do. They spend time with their families. Okay, Homo sapien, why would anybody ask that? I have no idea why people need to know if I'm gay or not. All right? I really have no clue. I don't ask people that. I don't know. I think by this age, I'm almost 52, you can tell who's straight and who's gay and who's of select mindsets. And ultimately, I don't care. I find myself caring so little about any of that I'm actually finding myself wondering why it is that other people do. And I guess it's immaturity. That's all I can say. It's childishness. It's people that haven't done enough with their life to care about themselves so much that they would never care about the sexual preferences of others. If you care about the sexual preferences of others, something wrong with you, not them. Do you consider yourself to be homophobic? Nope. No, I do not. Okay, hold on. I'm going to go over to the email boxes now. Let's have a quick look at email and see what questions that we have there. Did you hear Jeremy Farkas is going to run again? Well, yes, Jeremy Farkas is an extremely far left pro-pedo guy. He ran for mayor. He placed second in Calgary. Obviously, you guys know that I won that election, but whatever it is, he is an absolute weirdo, and he should not be in politics because he does not have the ability to help anybody. He gets selected for public office because he's so far left. He really, God, he scares me. I've spoken to him once. He is not a smart guy. Let me tell you that. All right. So that's it, folks. I'm going to take a couple of more questions and I'm going to bolt here. All right. Do I know Andre the Giant? Never met him. Saw him wrestle, though, when I was, I think, 9, 10, maybe, at Maple Leaf Gardens. Remember that place? But he died a long time ago. No, I don't know Andre the Giant. I know who he is. And that's it. Yeah, Curly, you're correct. Pat King is only allowed to be on social media to ask for money for his lawyer. That's correct. He's, by law, court order, he can only fundraise. And I think that's a ridiculous thing to have happened. And that shows you the state of our country currently. Okay. What are your views on the World Economic Forum? The same view that anybody who with a brain in their heads would think about the United Nations or the World Health Organization. They are a criminal enterprise bent on taking away all of our rights, including yours, and looking at transferring wealth. They want to bankrupt rich nations, and they want to make poor nations wealthy enough so that they can steal more from other nations. That's all that this is. But Russia is going to tell them where to go. And now there are, 41 countries in Africa that are going to join the Russians against the World Economic Forum. So the World Economic Forum may not be around in 10 years. And that's a good thing. Believe me. The UN, they got to go too. They truly do. And Trudeau does work for the World Economic Forum, Bruce. That's absolutely correct. Okay. And Barry Prince. Hey, Barry, how are you, brother? If you were on TikTok, I would bring you in to talk right now. So get a TikTok account. So Barry just invited me to be on his show. Barry, put the website address into the chat room right now, and I'll tell everybody what that is and the time. I would love to join you on Sunday on your show. Yeah, Barry Prince is another patriot out in British Columbia. And I'm pretty sure that he knows a lot about British Columbia and the state of affairs there. All right. Next. Okay. Chrystia Freeland being on the World Economic Forum board and working for the Prime Minister, that of course it's a conflict of interest, but there's no rule of law in Canada anymore. So how do we stop them? Well, there is an answer, but I can't give it to you, unfortunately, because, Okay. I'm Brenda May's daughter. I would like to meet you. Okay. Well, you guys can always go to my website and submit anything you wish at the contact form. KevinJJohnston with the T, my name, KevinJJohnston.me and just use the contact form right there on the homepage and send me your contact info. I'd love to chat with any and all of you. Pseudo monarch. The rule of law in Canada is done. The courts are not even hiding the fact anymore that they are completely corrupt and being used to silence people. And as soon as the courts are no longer afraid of how they're perceived, then the rule of law is dead. And they don't care how they're perceived. Not one bit. Okay. So Barry is calling it if you go to The Big Puzzle on Facebook, you could watch me on Barry's show on Sunday. All right. What's my opinion on the Coots border boys being in jail? They are political prisoners. They have no previous criminal records of any kind. They have been put there specifically and only so that the federal government of Canada could blame somebody for something that would then allow them to enact the Emergencies Act, which is the old War Measures Act in Canada. These boys did not bring guns there. The RCMP, when they put out a photograph of all those guns, it was a staged photograph, period. So what they wanted to have was a lie that the news would continue to propagate countrywide, telling the whole country that there were 4 guys that said they were going to kill RCMP officers, which is an absolute lie. They didn't do it. There's no evidence whatsoever. They need to be released immediately, but there are more than 200 political prisoners in this country currently. It's sad, but Canadians don't care about other Canadians. That's why those guys are still locked up. Over 530 days in jail for nothing. Nothing. Period. Oh, Jody, you got to watch my show, the Kevin J. Johnston Show. We just did 2 weeks in a row, 2-part show about the Coots 4. All right. Just go to freedomreport.ca and the video is archived there. I archive everything on my Rumble channel, and that's how you get to my Rumble channel. Am I a Canadian? I was born in Canada. Yes. So you're automatically a Canadian citizen when you are born in Canada. Am I famous? I guess you could ask either my naysayers or my fans. Let them answer that question. I don't know. Being famous in Canada, it sucks. You don't make money being famous in Canada, by the way. You just get harassed by the police and a whole bunch of other people. Period. Jody, thanks for being here, by the way. Thumbs up to you as well. If you and I share opinions on that, you and I would probably get along quite well. So if you want, Jody, go ahead and message me on my website, KevinJJohnston.me, and I'll certainly return that. Bruce, thank you for saying so. All right. What is it that you do? I research everything around the world and I bring the truth to the people. That's what I do. That is all that I do. I am in the know. My opinions should be taken more seriously than most because I have done the research necessary to have those proper opinions. And I tell the truth as I know it to be that day. And if I am wrong, I do retract. I will come out and I'll state that I had a fact incorrect, and here's the updated fact. How do I do my research? Oh, man. I talk to people in the industry. That's the first thing. If you want to know something about an industry or about news within that industry, go to the pros. Go to the guys who do it for a living. Of course, I watch not the news. I go to the independents, the guys who actually take cameras with them into the appropriate places. All right. Oh, and hey, Grandmom 597. Love you, Kevin. You're a true Canadian. God bless you. Keep speaking up. Mwah. I will. And thank you for saying so. I definitely appreciate that. And Universal Will says, a real amazing soul you are. And mwah, another kiss for you. Thank you very much. All right. And as for more and more research, you have to go to as many news outlets as you possibly can. Now, it used to be that if you're able to confirm something at 3 different outlets, it tended to be true, but that's no longer the case. So you have to go to the independent papers and look at what the independents have to say. Look at them. If they work for CBC or CTV, it's a lie. Everything they say is a lie. Or what's the other one? Reuters used to be honest. Now they're junk too. It's you know what? It would take a long time for me to explain how your sources go. But the most important thing in the world that you have to do, is you have to have very serious, polite, and professional relationships with everybody in that industry. Oh, and by the way, Jody, David Menzies is a friend of mine. The guy's amazing. I used to do a radio show with him. We did one for almost 8 months before Ezra Levant told him that he could no longer work with anybody outside of Rebel. So, yeah, I know them quite well. Okay, let's keep going there. Okay. I think we're coming to the end here. It looks like that's pretty much the end of the questions. Let me check the Rumble room. All right. Pat King is organizing a weekend bash to raise funds for his legal issues. Would you consider going to this event? Yep. Of course I would. I would definitely consider it. Send me the information on that if you could. Go to my website, KevinJJohnston.me, and send me whatever you'd like me to look at. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I have to get going. So Jody, feel free to contact me privately. Looking forward to all of that. That is it for now, everybody. I'm going to say goodbye on TikTok, and thank you all for being here. All right. And for everybody who's still watching here on Rumble, I actually am ending the show. I'm going to be a bit more honest with you here. I'm ending the show because I'm having some serious inner ear issues right now. And I'm now getting to the point where I've got an alkaline taste in my mouth. So that's my cue to go and sleep it off. It's actually not a good feeling. And this is what I was hospitalized for about 3 months ago. I know how to combat it now. There are exercises I have to do to combat that. So I've got to actually get that to happen now. So I want to thank you all for being here. I know it's kind of an unscheduled time, but I certainly do like interacting with as many people as want to be interacted with. That is it for now, everybody. All right. I will see you soon. I love you all. Take care.